not prevent them from killing me if they absolutely have to. But it's useless to make me suffer, closed in here as I am. It's too much to bear. I have done nothing that merits this. You are probably critical of a woman like me. The first exotic dancer of Europe, and a famous courtesan. But they accuse me of spying. And they are keeping me here while exotic dancing, divorce, and ambition were my only crimes. Little things never interested me. When I conceive great things, I go for them. From an early age, I believed that I would be celebrated or notorious. Ever since my childhood, nothing seemed more seductive to me than an officer. I like uniforms of any nationality. I love men whose profession is dying. They have other needs than those who vegetate until they reach the grave. The first one was Rudolph MacLeod. Johnny, I used to call him. He placed an advertisement in the newspaper which read, "Officer on home leave from the Dutch East Indies, looking to meet a girl of pleasant character. Object, matrimony." The marriage altered from the time that there was no money. I confess, I love luxury. I had not married to go without luxury. And I was very temperamental. I also had artistic tendencies. That made it impossible for a woman like me to be a good housewife. I confess frankly, I wanted to live like a colourful butterfly in the sun, rather than in the calmness of the inside of my rooms. When our son Norman was born, Rudolph was already spending a lot of time with other women. And after the birth of our darling Jean-Louise, Lonnie, his behavior didn't change. I was so beautiful. How was it possible that I could bore a man, and then such an old one who was so broken down? He told me 100 times a day that I was inferior to him. He didn't give me clothes because he was afraid I would look too good. He insulted me in public, called me a creature without a single value. Sometimes he spat at me and he threatened to shoot me. There was a time in Indonesia that I wanted to be bitten by a snake as not to have had to go back to him.
Wash the blood away. She cries silently. He doesn't understand why. He doesn't try to either. Virgin for him, true to him. Virgin for him, true to him. Where's a burger when she goes outside? geeft haar leven aan de liefdesgod. En zij breekt van binnen. Dapper, 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 slappen van de liefde. Was de pijn, was het bloed waard. Zij huilt zachtjes, hij begrijpt niet waarom. Hij probeert het ook niet. Macht voor hem, getrouw aan hem. Macht voor hem, getrouw aan hem. Zij draagt haar kippajas in haar buitengat.
It became 2 months, and I had no more clothes left to wear, so I wore a sarong and kabaya like the locals. When we went to live with Rudolph again, the misery of our marriage returned. The children were both ill, and we took them to a new doctor there. But they became worse almost immediately. That night, they both vomited repeatedly, retching up a terrible black liquid with clots in it. Norman sank into unconsciousness and died. The passing of my dear Norman took everything out of me. After Norman died, our marriage deteriorated further. We both blamed each other for his death. There was hatred growing between us. The truth is, I gave MacLeod cause to be jealous. I wanted to leave at any price, and I wanted to make his life as unbearable as possible. I thought I would be dead or mad. I didn't want to bury my youth in a grave. I didn't want that life in the Indies anymore. I wanted to go back to Holland. Look, I shouldn't have married. I'm not the kind of girl to marry. A woman like me is quite unmanageable. I find the little household duties of kitchen glittering and living room glory boring. And then a woman with my temperament. I confess frankly that seeing a handsome young man made my heart start to beat quick. And that is very natural. That is something one can't help. A well-built male brought me to a state of ecstasy. I wrote to Amsterdam asking for a divorce on the grounds of maltreatment. I would go study theatre in Amsterdam and I may become something. But after the legal separation, the coarse brute refused to give me any money. He wasn't paying as a cunning trick to recover none. But I couldn't go back to him and let him beat me and treat me in such an unworthy manner. I was ready to shoot myself rather than go back to him. But by that time, I was already entertaining men at the Maison de Rendezvous. Sometimes it's just enough for there to be a boat to make everything fall apart. As the boat leaves, they took away with it a sweet girl, 10 hours.
mettez-vous. Voilà, c'est ça. Allez rire, Milo. Allez chanter, Milo. La 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 la. In 1903, I fled to Paris. I thought that all women who ran away from their husbands went to Paris. I was a lost soul, in a state of total destitution. But I found in my loss an opportunity for self-reinvention. I know two things in Indonesia: the power of my beauty over men, and the power of a dance. I developed a series of sacred dances and began to create a mythology about myself. I never had a dancing lesson ever, but I always wore my famous breastplates. I made my debut at the home of Madame Knievsky, performing an Oriental dance. The library was converted into a sacred Hindu temple with a statue of Shiva on the altar. The room was lit with flickering candles and the floor strewn with rose petals. The music was that of a sad Eastern rite. The press said, Lady MacLeod is Venus. And then Emile Guimet invited me to perform at his Museum of Oriental Art. And he suggested I use a stage name. So I chose to be Matahari, Malay for the eye of the day, the sun. I enjoyed life in Paris. I received protection from the richest strangers.
Because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are impossible, you see. But when it gets to Friday, what you get is absolutely me. Because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are impossible, you see. But when it gets to Friday, what you get is absolutely me. Sweeter than candy.
About to caress my hips. Imagine all that sugar when I start to shake my hips. It's not an illusion. I'm as live as I could be. Instead of all your promises, why don't you share all your charms with me? Mr. Van Leader, this arrangement has to change. Give me something that will light 'em up when you let the boogie start to play. 'Cause Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, impossible, you see. When it gets to Friday, what you get is absolutely me. 'Cause Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, impossible for me. But when it gets to Friday, what you get is absolutely me. I don't wanna serenade to hear you say a thing. All I need is your attention.
I speculated in sensuality. I behaved coquettishly and flirted now and again with full houses. That came easily to me. That always came easily to me. I became the most desirable woman in Paris, and I had admirers wherever I went. Tonight I dined with Count A, and tomorrow with Duke B, and if I didn't have to dance, I made a trip with Marquis C. I vanquished my dance rivals, Isadora Duncan and Maud Allen, who styled themselves Eastern dancers. The press said, Isadora Duncan is dead. Long live Matahari. I confess, I told many lies. I told the press that my mother was a glorious Javanese dancer who died on the day that I was born, and that in the midst of tropical vegetation I was taught from an earliest age the deep meaning of these dances, which constitute a religion, a cult. I was the original Eastern dancer in Europe. Only those born there became impregnated with their religious significance. I was declared staff dance in 1908.
Hey handsome, have you got the time? I've been watching you since the moment you arrived. A white suit from London and shoes from Bury. Don't you want to spend about an hour with me? The scent and the aroma refuses to breathe. It's more like a haze that's trying to succeed. All it costs is just a minute now. For $1 you can show me how. I'll take your hand and then your worries too. Just one dance, I'll make your dreams come true. All it costs is just a minute now. For $1 you can show me how. I'll take your hands and then your worries too. In just one dance, I'll make your dreams come true. I like the smoke in your pipe, smoldering endless desire. How long will your flame burn?
I desperately needed about 30,000 francs to pull me out of this unpleasant situation and to give me the tranquility of mind which is so necessary to my art.
But I needed to offer my public something new. So when I went to Berlin to research and prepare a new dance based on Egyptian culture, I could feel a dark mood sweeping across Europe. My German agent held onto my money, and the bank froze my accounts. They said this was because I was a long-term resident of France, and France was at war with Germany. On the train for Switzerland, I I didn't have a passport to prove my neutral Dutch citizenship. And so they put me off the train and kept my luggage. I managed to get back to Amsterdam with the help of a Dutch businessman. I wanted to see my daughter Non. I wanted to reclaim her, but the Dutch government refused to restore custody to me. I couldn't believe that they would let her live with Rudolph without a mother substitute. I even sent my servant Anna to kidnap her. But Rudolph stopped her. Life in Holland without Non was dull and grey. There were wartime shortages of food and coal, and of course, no more luxury or amusements. Once I lived the life of a millionaire, spending my money I didn't care. Carried my friends out for a good time, buying bootleg liquor, champagne and wine. Then I began to fall so low. Didn't have a friend and no place to go. But if I get my hand on $1 again, I'm gonna hold on to it till them eagles grin. Nobody knows you when you're down and out. In my pocket, not one penny, and my friends I haven't any. Ooh, but if I get back on my feet again, then I'll meet my long lost friend. It's mighty strange, without a doubt. Nobody knows you when you're down and out. Sometimes I trick them by slipping out of view. And then, just as they thought I had disappeared, I would then pass them unexpectedly in the opposite direction. You should have seen their faces. We're lost in language. Our fears will drive us away from me. But you catch me when I fall. You hear me when I call. My sweet distraction. My sweet addiction. With our bodies must be something. Love yourself before anyone else. Doesn't seem all that unselfish, yet I would give you anything. But what would it benefit me? Our fears will drive us away from me. But you catch me when I fall. You hear me when I call. My sweet distraction. My sweet addiction. What has happened to Vadim? Why is he not writing to me?
Then he asked me if I love France, and if I would consider rendering France a great service. He signed the pass for Vindel and asked me not to seduce any French officers while there. I told him there's no danger of it, that I knew a Russian there with whom I was very much in love. I told him that I would never leave him, and that I would always be the same. Then he asked me to marry him. I responded affirmatively. And then I began to reflect. Here's my life, well laid out, I said to myself. I must ask Captain Ledoux for enough money that I never have to deceive Vadim de Moslev with other men. I will go to Belgium. I will do as the captain asks. Captain Ledoux will pay me, I will marry my lover, and I will be the happiest woman on earth. But he acted bizarrely. He refused to pay me. He denied the work I had done for him. He quite simply ignored me.
Papa schwindelt, Mama schwindelt, Grandmama's a lying thief. We're perfectly shameless, but we are blameless. After all, it's our belief. Nowadays the world is rotten, honesty has been forgotten. Everyone swindles son. Your son's a mooch and so's the pooch. Life's a swindle, yes, it's all a swindle, so get what you can from your fellow man. Girls and boys today would rather steal but play, and we don't care. We tell them, get your share. Hätte der Staat nicht Sorgen mehr, denn dann war Millionär. Alle Schwindel, überall, wohin du guckst und wohin du guckst. Alles ist heute ein Gesindel, jedes Girl und jeder Boy, es wird eine schlecht dabei. Es wird ein schwindlig von dem Schwindel. Alles Schwindel und berufen, toi, toi, toi.
I'm going to write to Bushadour again. I hope it's not too late. Pray for me. Please pray that he will change his mind. I'm obliged to live under and sign the name of Zella. But this woman is unknown to the public. As for me, I consider myself to be Mata Hari. For 12 years have I lived under this name. I am known in all the countries and I have connections everywhere. That which is permitted to Mata Hari, the dancer, is certainly not permitted to Madame Zilla MacLeod. That which happens to Mata Hari, these are the events that do not happen to Madame Zilla. The people who address the one do not address the other. In their actions and their manner of living, Mata Hari and Madame Zilla MacLeod cannot be the same. Mata Hari is obliged to defend herself. I learned this to my downfall. Everywhere I dance, I am celebrated. I am everywhere pursued by the vendors at the theatre. I love my jewels, my furs. The lawsuits are numerous. The seizures immediate. And to avoid this, it is I or a lover who always pays.
That is the life of the famous, of the women of the theatre. That morning of the declaration of war, the bank seized the valuables and deposits of foreigners. The vendors seized my trunks and stored the furs. that happened to me and others. And because they pretended that I spent longer than 10 years in France and that I had lost my Dutch nationality, I was treated harshly. And so, when Mata Hari had the occasion to take a little reimbursement from the Germans, she did!
Everything happened to Mata Hari, not Madame Zeller. I beg you to believe me, my captain. Realize that I have lived all of my adult life as Mata Hari. That I think and act as her. I lose. I win. I defend myself when I'm attacked. I take. Sometimes I'm taken. But I beg you to believe me that I never did a single act of espionage against France. Never, never. And I beg you, my captain, let me leave Saint-Lazare. I have suffered enough. It's not just to keep me locked up here. I never carried out any espionage. Today, everything around me is collapsing. Everyone turns his back. Even Vadim, for whom I would have gone through fire. Never would I have believed in so much human cowardice. I'm alone. And I will defend myself. And if I fail, it will be with a smile of profound contempt. Don't be afraid. Don't cry. I'll know how to die. Imagine that we're going on a long journey, and that I will return again, and we will meet again one day. But first, ask them if I can wear a corset.
Well, they gave me some soup for my last meal. 23 minutes to go. And nobody asks me how I feel. 22 minutes to go. Well, I sent for the governor and the whole damn bunch. 21 minutes to go. And I sent for the mayor, but he's out to lunch. 20 more minutes to go. Well, the captain said, girl, I'm gonna watch you die. 19 minutes to go. So I spat in his face and I laughed in his eye. 18 minutes to go. Well, here comes a priest to save my soul. 13 minutes to go. And he's talking about burning. I'm so cold. 12 more minutes to go. Well, they're testing their guns, and it chills my spine. 11 more minutes to go. And the squad with the guns, they work just fine. 10 more minutes to go. Well, I'm waiting on a pardon that will set me free. 9 more minutes. But this is for real, so forget about me. 8 more minutes to tie me to the post. I refuse a blindfold. 5 more minutes to go. Won't somebody come and cut me loose? 4 more minutes to go. I can see the mountains, I can see the skies. 3 more minutes to go. And it's too damn pretty for a woman to die.